Is it? Because I feel like, is it
It
just
definitely
me?
moves. It definitely moves.
Okay. Uh, let me got too many things happening at the same time. Um, okay, and then Melissa is signing in. Okay. Well, thank you all for coming to this month's Evergreen Admin Working Group. We're going to be talking about Library of Things and how you kind of set them up in Evergreen and see how other people are doing it, as well as just a general review of things that people use for administrative tasks, support desk tasks. So any tools that you use. I do want to note that we have moved to an alternating bi-monthly, no, not bi-monthly, is it bi-monthly? Every other month we'll be meeting. And then on those alternating months, the permissions group will be meeting. So we're kind of working in tandem because a lot of folks have reported that they can't make it to every meeting. So we wanted to make it a little easier on everyone. So we will not be meeting in July, but the permissions group will be, and then we'll pick up again in August. So without further ado, does anyone want to get us started with talking about Library of Things items or circulation or any fun things you do with Library of Things? Oh, I can see you, but I can't hear you. Sorry. No.
No,
Oh, wait, there you are. You're just really quiet. Okay, hold on. There we go.
I have world's worst. I don't know if it's my headset, which is new, or my docking station, but it's been terrible. Anyway, I
Welcome.
personally struggle with some of the library of things because really I've just been creating different circ modifiers for some of these things. And I don't know if anybody has a better way of doing it because I've been trying to keep things kind of like classed, like, read-alongs to as not quite a library of thing, but for all of
Mhm.
those sort of, Vox and Wonder Book and things like that. Um, but all of these like super niche things, it's like, well, I don't know. It's like miscellaneous odds and ends for some of
Yeah,
them,
the junk
some
drawer.
exactly, exactly. So I'm kind of curious how others may be wrangling with that.
Okay. Well, with pails, you get we have a defined list of circulation modifiers. We very rarely add new ones. We don't like to add new ones because it adds too much variables to the situation. So for things like the Playways and the Vox and the Toonby books, they're all classified as audiobooks. We just say, technically an audiobook. Um, and then we have equipment, electronic device, realia, and kit. And people kind of use those all interchangeably depending on what it is. And a lot of it is dictated by the hold policy. So if this is an item that you don't want to travel and you're in a system, um, we will kind of use the holds policies as a guide and then using shelving locations in the circulation policies differentiate like kits. So say they decide to use kits and it's for like a variety of things. Some can travel or they don't travel, but some loan for one period of time and some loan for another. We'll have a different shelving location for that variation on kit. Um, it it works for the most part with us. I will say from system to system, it varies greatly. So some systems use equipment, some use combination of both, depending on what it is. So that is the one thing that kind of I struggle with is just keeping them all straight. But once they decide what to use, the combo, as I like to call it, they they kind of remember, and then when they have new things, they just know, okay, if it needs to travel or not travel, they use the appropriate circulation modifier.
Yeah, we did something similar where we cleaned up our circulation modifiers and really reduced it. And I have a little chart of the different ones that are available. And then some people use the long and the short on the circ modifier too, so that gives them a little more wiggle room. And then our big difference is if they transit or not. Um, we have had a few where they've wanted um, no holds or so there's a few. I think we need a few more circ modifiers eventually, but right now I've just said, oh, I really don't want to create one, and they've made do with what's there. So but fortunately our library that does library of things, their time out, their circulation lengths is pretty standard. It was, and they let people put holds on them. Our main thing is not letting them transit because we don't have the capability to move them between the libraries. So yeah, I don't know if that's helpful, but
Our libraries seem to be pretty much chaos on the hoof, and that every single one of them seems to want to have a different loan period or a different fine policy or a different this or a different that for all of these things. Although I have managed to get like two-thirds of our library to agree to like standard rules, so I'm feeling a little bit more inclined to add more specific circ modifiers because I only have to create, like two circ rules and for most of the things, and then, like some oddball exceptions for specific libraries. So I'm feeling a little bit more towards the, well, I can have a circ modifier that's literally cake pans if, we really needs must, but it's still kind of trying to balance, you know, not having 1,000 of these things. But yeah, it's interesting because yeah, I find more problems with loan durations and fine rules than I do even in holdability, or not holdability or transit kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's a mess. Put it all in libcal.
We have one library that uses Alphabet
Hmm.
for their library of things, and the item, I don't even think they're cataloged with us. There's
Hmm.
in that third-party software, and so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, we've got one library, I think, that does something similar, but maybe it's like museum passes, because most of our other things, they're not worried about like reservations, you know. It's just if it's there, you can check it out. But museum passes, on the other hand, are a little different. Hmm.
Yeah, ours are mostly in the catalog and they get it when they get it, and if they don't can't use it that weekend, they return it. It would be cool if they could have more of a if the bookings module could um
Hmm.
accept reservations. I wonder if that's a bug. I'll look.
Yeah, the bookings module, just because it seems to run so much in parallel with the rest of circulation, that yeah, that's why I've not really explored it too much because the training curve just seems more than I necessarily want to tackle, and just that it's not really intuitive. I don't know. That could just be me.
Yeah, and I would like to have it patron facing at this point. I think it's gotten to a point where it's pretty usable, except for like
Hmm.
two little things for us.
Mm.
do you use it for rooms, Elizabeth, or for like items for the bookings module? Like, are you
Um, when I played with it, I was using it for items. So like we had some libraries that wanted like these kits that our central library had. and it was just too hard to manage the reservations because at the time we couldn't look out and see who had things. Like it was only a small window of time you could look at reservations, and some people were like, "Well, I have a program in August, and I want to make the reservation now." And it's like, yeah, I can't tell at the time. I don't know if it's changed. I haven't really gone back to look at it. If if someone else has it, and like we had like because we were sending it out to like the library, it had like extremely long transit times. So like the timing never really quite worked out. So if you needed it on a Tuesday, we had to like reserve it for like the fr almost the from the Thursday before to like the Thursday after. And that's like it may have come back sooner, but we couldn't tell you. So people just were like really turned off by it. Found a few bugs for booking. One is that you need a library card to book, which is kind of a bummer. That's not a requirement for your, but does anyone else use booking for anything?
I was just looking. I know we only some systems use it for rooms, and then but we do have a live stream kit resource in our list. And I was just running a report to see if anyone uses it. I doubt it. Yeah, I think most of our libraries just use a separate tool altogether for booking. Because I know it is pretty buggy, but I haven't looked at it in some time.
Yeah, it looks like it's roughly 35 bucks for booking. So I'm just gonna put that in the notes for anybody. Yeah, I think the booking would be a good tool if we didn't, if there were just a few other improvements. But yeah, that could potentially handle library things a little and museum passes a little easier. We also use obviously circulation limit sets to prevent them from taking more than one, or if they only are allowed so many. That proves to be kind of interesting when you're using multiple shelving locations and circ mods. So usually our limit sets are tend to be just set on the shelving locations that they're related to. So it's like a library of things shelving location they're allowed for, regardless of what modifier they're using.
Just to maybe ask a tangential question about that, that doesn't prevent someone from being able to place a hold
No,
on, right? Okay, I didn't think
no,
so.
not at this time. We use the max holds. Well, we try and not use them, but sometimes they ask us to use them. Doesn't always work out well, because of the way they actually work versus how I think they should work every time. Um, yeah, so like we usually just say, do you want us to limit it so like kids can't check out or place holds on like library of things items? So, um, but that's only because you can only limit by the circulation modifier. You can't bring in like the shelving location um, at this point, which would be cool if you could, but um, So
Yeah,
that's
that's
usually where we start. The train of thought is like, okay, when we're picking a circ mod, we look at the holds policies and then go from there.
that's another reason why I tend to lean more towards more library of thing type circ mods, just because it's easier to set up circulation rules and hold rules, because that's
Mhm.
another one where, again, my libraries want to be, you know, limit the holds to these items only for their patrons, only for pickup at their library, and only so many of these items at a time, all of that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would dread if I had to do that with shelving locations or anything more complex than, what we've got.
Yeah.
So, hmm, that's interesting. So many different ways to do the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. And Lindsay, where are you at again? I'm sorry.
I'm in Westchester County, New York. It's like I always feel like I try to put that in my screen name and it never sticks. I don't know why.
Anything else about Library of Things that folks want to chat about? Sorry, I'm bad at typing and talking at the same time. All right. Well, if there's nothing else with Library of Things, we can actually no, there is one thing I wanted to ask about. At one of the presentations at the conferences, there was like you could use action triggers filters to have different intervals for when things like got pushed to lost. Does anyone use anything like that?
It's not the exact same thing, so it's not when they are marked lost, which is
Hmm.
intriguing because I've had questions about that. But I actually run different notices for
Hmm.
lost. So I run an initial lost notice at 30 days after it's been marked lost, an email notice, and then I have a print notice that runs 7 days after that.
Hmm.
So it's that uses the intervals, so they get kind of funky, but it's not necessarily, like one notice and then like if then kind of
Hmm.
loops or anything.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to figure out if you can have, because I have been asked that question,
Hmm.
because we have one standard, this is when things become lost, and it's fairly short these days, but still,
Hmm.
for things like hotspots and, streaming sticks and whatnot, the libraries would really like those to be marked lost, within days rather than
Yeah, instead of
weeks.
30 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had heard it and then I was really intrigued and then I forgot to write down. I want to say it
Hmm,
was King County.
probably.
I
They
could
do
be wrong.
festive things like that.
Okay. Well, if I can remember who said it, I will ask for more clarity. Yeah, it was during a presentation. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. Any other lost or not lost Library of Things related topics, questions, concerns? I will brag that we have one library that went through all of their Library of Things and took really, really, really nice photos of everything, or got merch like promotional photos and like cropped it all out. So if you are getting like a cake pan, you know exactly which cake pan you're getting. Or if you're getting this game called Flippin' Chicken, you know exactly which creepy chicken, rubber chicken thing you're getting. So like, and they uploaded all of the graphics for the cover art. So like, it's not just like a metal detector, and you're like, what am I getting this massive thing, a small thing? Like, what am I getting? So, I think
That
that's,
is definite goals. I have been trying so hard with our libraries to get them to do that.
yeah, let me see if I can find it so we can humble brag.
Or just brag because that's excellent. And
Yeah,
we're now using the Aspen Discovery layer, so that's very, very picture based. So I've been trying to get
yeah,
everybody to like, you know, add pictures.
yeah. So it should be like the one, two, it's the fourth um carousel. And they also did a really nice thing with their reference items, but they have like a whole folder of
That's
items.
fabulous. It would never have occurred to me to try and borrow a folding hand truck from the library. That's
Yeah,
so
right?
amazing.
And like the games are like, what game you're getting, or you're getting your pickleball set.
I
Let's
want
look
them to
out.
be my library. Bike pedal
Yeah,
exerciser. I would love to try that out because I feel like I would fall off and, hurt myself if I bought one
yeah,
and tried it. That's awesome.
yeah. I think it's really, and it's good for promotion because you can
Oh,
look,
totally.
look what we, look what we got. I love the waffle makers though too. Like you can see, instead of like you're getting a,
We got one with,
go ahead.
oh, we got a waffle maker that does shaped like trucks. So super fun.
Yeah, gotta promote your stuff. Okay. All right. I swear I'm done now.
I
What
will,
about,
I'm
go ahead.
definitely gonna pass that along because ours are just the little icon library of things and then just says what it is. So
Yeah,
having the actual picture would be definitely a bonus.
yeah. Especially for like the cake stuff. You could be like, you're getting a cake, a cat-shaped cake pan. Okay, well, what in God's name could that possibly look like? Is it very detailed? Is it very generic? Is it like,
Three-dimensional.
yeah, like how cat-like is this cat cake pan gonna look? So, okay. How about tools? Does anyone have, I feel like Dan, this was something you had mentioned at one point.
Yeah, it might have been. I think I'm trying to remember now, and I'm sorry because I'm all discombobulated. But I think that maybe it was if we were using, if anyone was using any interesting tools or techniques or approaches for what we're doing for support for our libraries. I think that that's kind of we had talked about this, I think, at the conference last year a little bit. And so I was curious to know if anyone has had any updates in the past year for anything fun, new processes, procedures, whatever. Um, I don't actually have any good examples of my own, unfortunately. I have, I can talk about something in theory, but I haven't tested it out yet. But I'd love to hear from if anyone's doing actually anything for real, right now.
Not really. I mean, it's just kind of, trying to keep up with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody has any tips or tricks, I would also love to find them out.
We started, we use Jira for our support tickets. So we started using that for like projects and stuff, and that has helped. I know it's not a tool. Well, it's a tool, but it's not really. It's super obvious. Um, it's like a project management software too. So we have like the project, and then we have subtasks, and then we assign the subtasks to like individuals. So instead of just like saying, okay, we're doing this project, we kind of really get nitty-gritty about who's doing what and what that task specifically is. So that's been helpful when we have like, I feel like we have like 5 projects going on right now, and it's like some of them need library settings changes, and some need OPAC customizations, and some need like mapping for like because we're starting Kipu or Qp. Kipu, not Qp, that's the Mayo. We're doing the card registration software. So like because there's like settings that have to get changed and stuff. So having that kind of outlined on who's doing what and where and like I don't know. I feel like that's been keeping us sane. Um, but that's like project management 101, I guess.
Do you folks pay for Jira?
We pay a highly discounted rate for
Okay.
Jira because we are 3 people and we're a nonprofit, so we get a nice discount on that. Otherwise, it would be prohibitively expensive for us to have.
Yeah, I feel like because you had talked about Jira last year, and I feel like I looked into it and I was like, whoa, I don't think we can do this.
Yeah, yeah. Check their nonprofit rates because we wouldn't be able to do anything. And like I just did like what was it? They were like looking at adding some feature, and I participated in like a feedback thing, and I got like $100 gift card, and I was like, whoa, I wish we could do. I'm like, that's the way to get people to participate in testing is give them lots of money. So like, oh, that was really cool. But I know financially not feasible for most people. Trying to think of what else we've been doing. We've been doing some cleanups, and not that that's a tool either, but it's been helping streamline stuff. Like we have those interval shell or circulation duration rules, and we don't like them because people forget that they've set things, and then they're like, "Why isn't this circulating correctly?" And it's like, okay, well, the, the call's coming from inside the building. You did it. That's, you made it this way. And so we're like kind of systematically going through and getting rid of them and just whatever the normal duration is, that's the loan duration. You don't get the variations. Um, but yeah, so like stuff like that. And like we're going and we found like a ton of libraries weren't having didn't have like things with circulation modifiers. So we went through and we updated like 90% of those. Um, so we just run a report every day and see what stuff is circulating with that is using like the default um, loan duration. Or we have a couple that are set to 0 days. And then we have an idea of like why things aren't behaving correctly. So, but yeah.
Um, I guess for kind of the internal stuff, we'd have started using Trello, which I think it's a Jira relative, right? I'm pretty sure. We have started using
Yep.
Trello for like keeping track of internal like meeting agendas and stuff like that. So we have like different columns that like, okay, here are some topics that we need to talk about at our next meeting. Here are things that we need to um, like revisit or come back to. Here's some things that we're referring to our like directors advisory committee. Um, and then unfortunately and embarrassingly, the column with the most items is the backlog slash stalled uh board section, whatever it's called.
Hmm.
That one it keeps growing and growing every other week. Um,
Yeah.
So I guess that is actually something new-ish that we've been doing since we last talked about this last year. I think it's been really helpful because like before that we were kind of like trying to just like have notes in Google Docs and it was hard to like track like okay, we talked about this maybe a couple months ago, and what did we talk about with this last time? And then like just having like a card per issue actually makes it really nice for like tracking meetings internally.
Yeah, we do something similar. We have a couple of them. Like we have like one board for like all of our communications that we're going to be sending out, like holidays, and then like we have these features where we'll feature a feature. And then we'll have library highlights. So if a library is doing something really cool, we like spotlight them. And we have those all kind of like planned out in a card. I think they're called in Trello, but something like that.
I want to try to convince our directors advisory group to switch to using Trello for their agendas too. I'm not sure how successful that will be, but I'm going to try.
It's nice because then you can assign like the card, like each topic to a person and have a due date and then have reminders. So like if they're going to be on deck to talk about something, you can have them get no like it gives them like a little pop-up or whatever. Or you can get emailed when stuff is coming due. It gets a reminder like, hey, you said you were going to talk about this at this meeting.
I feel like something else that we had talked about last year with this kind of topic was how are people tracking like maybe different issues that um, like bug reports from your libraries and kind of matching them up with like Launchpad bugs, for example. I'm curious if anyone's doing anything new or exciting with that.
I haven't, I mean, it's been a while since I've ducked in on this group, but I know when I get bug tickets from our libraries, I will take a look in Launchpad and then I just manually add that ticket information to my in-house bug tracking system. Um, on that note, I am about to turn my member library staff on Launchpad because we've got a couple of people who would go like gangbusters on feedback. So I'm trying to get them directly involved in Launchpad because they see things I never will. And so if I can kind of cut out myself as a middleman, I would find that very exciting. But yeah, so I do try and link our bug reports to a launch pad and just flag them in our ticketing system.
Yeah, we do something similar. Yeah, nothing fun or exciting, but we do in our internal support desk, we have this is kind of new. We just have a specific category for development wish list or something like that, since we do have a developer on our team now. And then we'll, yeah, put the Launchpad bug in there for tracking. And then we'll do that, in response if we do find the bug. And we always try to get more Launchpad participation, but it's kind of hard. And I get it. It's just like another system to learn for library staff. But yeah, we're always like, hey, go ahead, heat our comments if you want to. But usually we'll just do that. So.
Yeah, I also create a fair amount of Launchpad bugs that come up from things that, our staff have mentioned. So it's like, yeah. And then I will
Mhm.
create a local ticket or append the local ticket if that's how it was surfaced.
Lindsay, I actually had something that uh, was raised as an issue last week, and I found a bug that you reported in 2018, so it might have even been the same person who complained about it.
It's entirely possible. I keep finding things that, I created back in the day and it's like, oh, I completely forgot I wrote that ticket in, 2018 or whenever. But yeah, the struggle is real.
We do something similar with the bugs. We have a whole project in Jira called A Bug's Life. And we have this script that we run, and what it does is we like I'll go in and a bug and I'll mark it as, like I'm impacted and then get the emails. But then we add it to the tracker to the project via this script, and it like pulls in the description and the title and the link to the bug. And then in our ticketing system, we can link issues and to other work items, which is what the bugs come in as. So then we can run a report at the end of the month or whatever, or when we have, you know, that we're part of the Equinox support, so we can pick bugs quarterly that we want to add additional heat on so that we can see if they can do development on it. So we look and see, okay, well, which bugs which ones are new, which ones have more, like a lot of tickets on them, and that kind of dictates our development methods. Like if we have like 15 tickets, we've never gotten 15, maybe like five. If we have like five tickets from individual libraries on a issue, we'll, see which way we either pay for development or use our quarterly bug fix or, ask, you know, ECDI to help get stuff fixed. If we ever switch to GitHub, that would make our lives a lot easier because we wouldn't have to do all these support scripts. But for now, it's working. But yeah. Trying to think of what other things we use. We have a new person starting in July, so I'm now trying to remember all of the things that we do and how we do them, and it's like, oh God, I have to train someone now. Oh no. Like this extensive list of Word document that's can be brutal. Uh, give everybody a minute to think about tools or things that they're working on. But also propose the top. We'll need a topic for August. If anyone has anything they're interested in learning more about, or we could do bookings maybe because it seems like we have some people who are interested in it. Or if we want to start talking about 314 or 315, because I know a lot of libraries are starting to upgrade.
We just upgraded to 314 and it's been kind of illuminating. And I don't know if it's because we're special or just some kind of unbeknownst and not discovered in testing issues. We've been kind of struggling with reports and authentication. So it's been kind of crazy because I think we have recently discovered that the authentication method that Evergreen chooses to prioritize depends on what screen you might happen to be logged in to if you're in Evergreen and it's open.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not entirely sure how this all works because it's been very, very inconsistent and relates to we've identified two bugs, existing bugs. We seem to be hitting both of them in varying degrees. And then this mystery, we use LDAP authentication primarily. And I don't know how many systems do that, but yeah, it's been chaos on the hoof, particularly for our staff who use the email notifications that a report is complete if they're clicking the link. So it's like, where does that open? What's it going to, how's it going to authenticate or not? So that's one thing that we've really been struggling with, but otherwise it's mostly fine. I will put in that for 314.
So like if you get the report that you got the email, like the email that you got the report, you click the link and then it just doesn't do anything.
It will prompt a secondary login.
That's how ours
And
are set up.
and so for some portion of our staff, it'll work. It's worked for me, but then for some
Hmm.
other staff, it doesn't work.
Oh.
Sometimes you only have to do that once and then you're okay. That's one of the random bugs. Sometimes, depending on if you're clicking an output link from the output folder, so either the HTML or the CSV or Excel version, sometimes that behaves differently. So it's really strange. So I think most of our staff, because they tend to have reports emailed to them that were created by somebody else in their organization or by us up at the system office level.
Hmm.
So there's a whole lot of things. And I currently have all my permissions set to consortial wide for everything report related because that might also be part of it. So yeah, I don't know. And this never came up in testing. I never had any problems. I had people testing reports in our test server all along. Never came up.
Hmm.
Only when we switched to our production.
Do you
So,
have the
So
link or the bug number?
um, let's see. The current bugs are, let
I
me
wish there was a
see.
way to search by submitting user. That would be so much.
I
Actually,
know.
I think there is, although I don't know who submitted it or who reported some of those things.
Oh, okay.
Because you can, in the advanced search, I think there's something for reporter.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, here we go. So there is, let's see, this guy. And I think there is another one. So yeah, 21222, but then there is a different one.
So I'm wondering if this is due to the security enhancements. I don't know if you've looked at that because we ended up for Pines leaving that out when we upgraded to
Okay.
314 because it's like the output had to be in a shared folder or something like that. And yeah, it was like even sharing, the Pine staff and we have all the permissions and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
we weren't able to open outputs because it was like from my test folder that wasn't shared. So we ended up just removing that because we thought that was going to cause a lot of problems. So I don't know if that's why,
Maybe I will add
maybe.
that as a suggestion because I was also thinking that it might have had to do with the security stuff, which is why I just, for expediency's sake, set all of my permissions to, basically blast. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'll follow up with that one too. Because we sometimes have issues with, you know, or have found issues with shared reports and, different folders at different levels and different people. And then, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's like if a shared folder is nested in an unshared folder, I know there's issues with that. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, there were a
Which
lot of
which might be the
random.
case because there's at least one report from one library where I'm pretty sure that might be the case. And I'm like, the librarian who created it, I think, has been on vacation. So it's like, please reach out to me when you get back because I'm dying to know what's going on here. But
And yeah, it's very rare. Oh, I think that because we have, a bunch of like shared template folders, but I've
mhm.
never thought to share an output folder, and that was the issue. So, and I don't necessarily want a lot of people to share output folders, even though I don't know if people even look at those.
Mhm.
But yeah, we saw a lot of odd things with 314 too, that I don't even remember what they were at this point. It was a lot of like not, trying to figure out what to do and then clearing cache helped a lot. Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
holds weren't showing up. Like it was a lot of random stuff that kind of made no sense with any of the changes. So I don't know.
Yeah, so far the holds read or like the columns and things, that was the only other thing. But
Oh yeah. Hmm.
that it's like, okay, they're still there. Some of the names have changed, just kind of have to fix them. It's okay. But this report thing has been kicking my butt so far.
Hmm.
So, all right, I'm glad to know you guys have seen it too, and I will definitely do more of a deep dive on these permissions or just don't share output.
Yeah. Because I think, yeah, if you have reports permissions and Pines, it is just set at the consortium because I think that is, except for sharing.
Hmm.
Because I think it has to be maybe. I don't know if it's one of the like global required true whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't know if yeah, that affects anything either, if it's at a different depth than consortium. But yeah, we just have them all at consortium. Um, except for
yeah.
sharing.
So maybe I'll try redoing the sharing one to like at least you can only share with your own colleagues and own library because
And actually, I think there is a bug. There's a couple, I can find those permissions bugs with
mm,
reports because I think, yeah, it's create, is it share? Yeah, it is share that is no longer looking at the depth, I think.
yeah, yeah, that I did find in testing.
Yeah. And then there's another one. I want to say it was something about creating report templates or something.
Mm.
It's not being checked. Oh yeah, create report. Let's see. And that was one where I was like, I should have tested the permissions and I didn't.
Yeah, we have our view report output is set to the consortia for everyone. I don't know
Hmm.
if that, but we're on 313, so that's a different ball game.
And I'll post, here's that report security documentation. But yeah, we are kind of like the pre-upgrade. It was just, yeah, there was a lot going on. And we're like, we don't want to add one more thing, especially with reports, updating to the new Angular version. We felt that was already enough for staff. They don't need to, yeah, work through whatever. And again, we couldn't figure out consistencies necessarily on opening the reports with
And
the
for most of
securities.
our reports, I guess maybe I'm cavalier. I'm not that concerned, but I don't know.
Where I think, yeah, where we do want security, but yeah, not at that. Like that was just too much for that time. So it's like
Yes,
maybe we'll go back to it. But yeah, as of now, it's like they can already download any information they want anyway from the grids and stuff. So it's like we just
yeah,
say
yeah.
over and over again, be careful with patron data. And that's kind
Hmm.
of,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. And I would much rather them be able to get, their whatever shelf lists without pain and suffering and,
sure.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thanks for that because I had forgotten about a lot of the security work.
And yeah, I hadn't seen that in testing, and that doesn't mean it didn't exist. I had never tested that before we upgraded. So yeah, that was kind of an unexpected.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
like I have all the permissions, so whatever. And I never got any of those issues in testing, and other people I
mhm.
had testing reports didn't get to have any of those issues either. So it kind of came as a surprise when people are like, "Oh, I'm being prompted to log in to access my reports." It's like, "Well, are you already logged into Evergreen?" It's like, "Yes, yes, I am." Like, "Ugh."
Yeah,
But yeah. So, alrighty, good times to be had. Yay.
so fun
Something to look forward to. We're going to
always.
315 in the fall, so hopefully.
Oh, cool.
Ooh. Yeah, I was contemplating doing another upgrade later on to 315 because there's something in that version that I want, but I don't know. Now I'm a little, I don't know. Do I want to or not?
Yeah, we do an upgrade every November, so it's
Mm.
usually the odd numbers.
Yeah, we usually upgrade every early summer, so it's the evens.
Yeah. We had gone a couple years where we didn't upgrade and
Mhm.
the jump was too much. And so we were like, never again, never again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Elizabeth, do you have a date set yet?
no, I asked and I was told, yes, they could accommodate us for November, but I haven't gotten a date yet.
Mm.
Why did you put in a date as well?
No, no, I haven't. Was like, oh, I should put in a request to upgrade, but I was gonna see if I could go after you this year.
We could bounce around. Okay, I'll follow up with Galen and say, can we get a definitive date? Because Dan would like to go
No,
after
no, no, don't throw me
you.
under the bus like that.
No, I like having a date now, and then that helps me start to set stuff up. So I will follow up with him today or tomorrow, and if once I get a date from him, I'll let you know. We don't like to go too late into November because then the holidays throw everything off, and the A team at the library is not there, so you don't want to have poor part-time people struggling through an upgrade issue over Thanksgiving break. So, anything else that you folks would like to chat about? We have about 6 minutes. Anything that you would like to chat about in August or ask, like, hey, I'm struggling with this, or we'll be working on this. Can we talk about it then?
I don't know, is anybody at all even contemplating statistical categories for items?
There's some now.
Um, because I'm kind of looking at revamping our statistical categories, and I'm afraid, deeply afraid.
Okay.
Um, we use statistical categories for our monthly reporting, and they're not the most useful. So I'm just trying to figure out if I were to come to some sort of consensus on what would in fact be useful statistical categories, what's the best way to roll that out with minimal pain and suffering for millions and millions of records.
Mm. Okay. I
So,
think,
Mm.
yeah, we do it. Each library system in our consortia has their own for items. So it
mm,
could be anything from like, this is a grant project and here are the grants, and then we just associate the category, the entry with the item. Some use it for very like for audience levels and stuff like that, so it can get pretty granular. Um,
yeah, so we do some of that because we also, New York State has state reports. So we have two sets of item statistical categories, one for monthly reporting, one for this, annual state
mhm,
reporting. So the state report is mapped to those questions, and those are, they are what they are. But it's more the monthly ones that at least most of our libraries are habituated to using, and they're kind of standard reports. So we define them all. They don't define any of the
mhm.
statistical categories, but it's more just the data work of updating all of those things, um,
Yeah.
and then training implications. So I don't know if anybody else is going through or contemplating going through any kind of really big data project like
Okay.
that. Um, so,
We are, or we started, and this is more Tiffany and our cataloging team are working on it for our state reporting that we have to
mm,
do. We
mhm.
are getting more specific questions about audience level and things like that. So I know they had started working on using a StatCat for that, for more general. I don't know where that is, but I can always ask her, and she can always join, or I can just give an update. But I do want to share, we were talking about this in our team meeting. Stephen, uh, I guess during the collaborative code review yesterday, he was working on a fix for the StatCat entries, deleting and editing them. So that is exciting
Yeah.
because I know a lot of people have wanted that. So I don't
Mhm.
know when that'll be in anything, but I was very excited to see that.
Yeah, I'm also keeping an eye on this one, so I'm kind of hoping that maybe this will like make all of my problems go away. Because if I
Right?
can just update something to be, oh, it's no
Mhm.
longer this, it's now that, that might make that whole process a little bit easier. But yeah, crazy times.
All right, so we'll set a topic of item statistical categories for August, and we can see what other folks are doing. And I think Jennifer Pringle did a whole presentation on statistical categories, so maybe
Mm.
we can. I don't think she's ever attended this meeting, but maybe we can ask her. Oh, Dan.
That would be really exciting. But I'm sorry, I'm data
St
project. No, no, really, I'm excited by that. But
Statistical categories, so interesting.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, that bug report is great. So
Awesome. Okay. Well, I will. We can put that out there, and maybe if I see Jennifer, if I see her, she lives in Canada, and I can email her to see if she would be interested in coming to be a resource. She should maybe not present anything, but just, I don't want to have to ask her to rehash her presentation. But okay, that sounds good to
We can do
me.
a viewing party.
Yeah, we could just sit and watch it together. So then no July, no September, but in August we'll talk Stat Cats. But please do go to the permissions working group
Oh,
soon.
thanks. Yeah, I have to think of a topic, so we'll see.
Are we done
July.
with this circulation permissions?
No, I guess yeah, that would be a good regroup because yeah, we did circ and cataloging, and I haven't even touched those spreadsheets since we last met. So yeah,
Okay,
I need to get on regrouping on that, and hopefully, yeah, I'll have a good update for July.
so hard. So I feel like managing a group is almost like a second job.
Yes, I'm glad we're alternating now. So gives me more time, or probably just more time to procrastinate. So I need to get better about planning that out. I should use like the normal monthly schedule to do like the work for the following month, since I already have that time blocked off.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for coming today. I hope this was helpful. And as always, we'll see you at the other meetings.
thanks. Bye.
See ya.
Thanks.
Bye.